of Newfoundland and Labrador and the founder of the We Care Foundation. Welcome back to Sharing Our Cultures. Joining me now is Dr. Zainab Jerrett. She's the Executive Director of the Tombolo Multicultural Festival, Newfoundland and Labrador. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
It's good. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Right. Now, the Tombolo Festival has become a cultural staple in this province. Everybody looks forward to it each year. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and how it was started?
Well, it started actually in 2009 in Fairyland by a couple, Andy and Nikki. They currently live in Admiral's Cove, and they just wanted to give opportunity for new Canadians and newcomers to experience the culture of people in the Southern Shore or the Bay Area. So they started that simple, just having newcomers from the Association for New Canadians go to Fairyland and perform their cultural dances, perform their music. And I was brought in as a caterer for the event. While then I was already into the catering business. So I wasn't involved as an organizer, but just to provide the food, multi-ethnic food for the event. So first year 2009, second year 2010, it became big. They thought it was getting too big for them, so they decided to stop it because they have other things to do. They bring in people from other parts of Canada and maybe the US and show them places around the Southern Shore. And they also have like music concerts in their home. So that's their passion. So I talked with my husband. I said, okay, this event is very important because it gives newcomers the opportunity to interact with Newfoundlanders and also vice versa. So I decided to see if I can take over instead of abandoning this important cultural event. So my husband said, well, you've been doing this with Multicultural Women's Organization, so if you think you have the time, why not? So I approached Andy and Nikki and told them that I would be interested in taking over so that we can continue with it instead of abandoning the this multicultural event, the Tombolo multicultural event. So they were very happy. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking at first, but what I did was I just decided to register it as a non-profit organization with CRA, and I incorporated it with the provincial government as a non-profit incorporated organization. And what I did was, because I already know ANDOM with the Canadian Heritage, because we do get funding when you and I were president of the African Canadian Association, and then with Multicultural Women's Organization as their event coordinator, we do apply for grants. So I decided to go straight to the federal government to get funding because Andy and Nikki, they were getting funding from the provincial government. But I thought maybe it's better, since new Canadians were brought here by the federal government, they should be the ones to fund this kind of organization and the events as well. So I applied for funding from Canadian Heritage. By then, actually, it was the Citizenship and Immigration Canada. And then that particular program, they moved it to Canadian Heritage later. So the first grant we got was from the former Citizenship and Immigration Canada, which is now Refugee Citizenship and Immigration Canada, something like that. So I got the funding without any, just followed the rules, applied, and we got it without any problem. And we had it in both Fairyland again, just to kind of make sure it continued there for a while. But we also started in St. John's at the Arts and Culture Center because I discovered that a lot of the people who do attend the event in Fairyland are from here, from St. John's. So I said maybe we should have one here. And continue with the one in Fairyland at the arts, their folk art building or a hall there. So we did one in St. John's in 2012 because I wanted to continue, or we wanted to continue with the one in Fairyland. So we did two for 2 years, both of them, both Fairyland and St. John's. And then in 2014, we discovered that the one in St. John's was growing, and that one became like saturated, the one in Fairyland, because people were already used to the food and the performances and the activities. And it was kind of hectic in a way, a little bit stressful having two and not too far away. So we decided to leave the one in Fairyland and focus on St. John's. So at the Arts and Culture Center in 2014, instead of having two, that's when we abandoned Fairyland. So we did the one in St. John's. We started 2015, started growing.
Yes, it has really grown.
Yeah, and then the city of St. John's came in as well. They started funding it, and the Arts Council, RTNL now, they too were interested. So they started funding the Tombolo Festival in St. John's as well. Before we knew it, we were going to Ganda, Conception Bay, and 2017 when Canada, the Canada 150 came up in 2016, we applied. So I was pleasantly surprised that the federal government approved for us. I think we were probably the only major multicultural group to be permitted or be approved to do to celebrate Canada 150. So we were sent to Labrador City, Labrador West, to cover Wabush and Lab City, and also Ganda. So we were in Ganda and Lab City for 6 months, celebrating Canada 150, where we brought both people from the local population and newcomers in those places to showcase and celebrate their cultures and interact.
So it didn't only grow in scope, it grew geographically as well. Throughout the province. So what do you think having a festival like Tombolo is important for a province?
From my experience and maybe what I observed, things have changed now, but in the 90s, of course, the province, or St. John's in particular, has not been purely cosmopolitan compared to other cities. And I don't blame anyone. Things change with time, you know. So I felt that we need to bring to or highlight or show the cultural diversity that we have in this province, and in St. John's in particular, when we are talking of the St. John's Tombolo Multicultural Festival as an example. I wanted people from different cultures to present, showcase, and share their culture with people from the local population who might not have seen, experienced, or tested cultures from more than 24, 25 countries in one spot, but in a festive way, not through protest or complaint, but as a celebration, because as you've known or you've noticed, people from here also, they get the opportunity to share their culture and traditions with the newcomers or the new Canadians through the festivals. It could be something as simple as food, like you go to Tombolo Festival in St. John's here or in Ganda, and you can eat food from Syria, from Nigeria, from India, and vice versa, because we try to bring in Newfoundlanders and Labradorians who we usually encourage them. I say, if you are from, if you are of Irish descent or Scottish, please wear anything you can get that can showcase that you are originally Scottish or originally Irish, even though your grandparents came here in the 1800s. Find something. Or we encourage people from the First Nation community to come and participate and showcase their culture. So the idea of sharing cultures and sharing and experiencing culture from different parts of the world. That's our goal, to promote diversity and intercultural understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're really successful at that.
Well, you know, with the support of people like you and the people, the community.
Yes, yeah. Oh, well, I think the community really embraced that diversity and intercultural understanding and, you know, getting people together to learn from each other and to participate in what's happening. So you had quite a bit of support from the community as well.
Oh, a lot. What we do, and I learned that when I was the coordinator with the Multicultural Women's Organization, that when you are doing something, you have to involve the community. So like in Uganda and even in St. John's, we always make sure that we plan together with the city council and local community groups. So we don't go to Uganda, for example, and say, hey, we are coming to have a multicultural festival in your community. No, we go through the city council. They have event coordinator for the city of Uganda. So we plan with them. We set the date together, like which date is which weekend is most convenient. So we decide together, and then we put it in writing. Then the city council will debate on the date and what we should do, or together collaboratively. And we do the same with St. John's. When we went to Lab City, we did the same thing. We involved the town council so that we work together. As if the event is not just coming from outside, but outsiders collaborating with insiders. That's how we do it, and that's how and why I think we get the support.
Right, because the community feels that they're part of it, and
yes,
they actually embrace it, and you're showcasing what's actually in their community as well. And well, that, of course, shows how successful you've been with working with the community, and you're good at those interpersonal relationships and communications and networking, because that's all part of it as well.
Okay.
Well, we're just going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to find out more from Dr. Jerrett and her response to a lot of situations that are going on, not only locally, but globally as well. And my conversation continues with Dr. Zainab Jerrett. And yeah, it's kind of been curious what brought you to St. John's.
Well, I guess it's destiny. That's how I normally start my answer when someone asks me that question. Actually, I was teaching in University of Maiduguri in northeastern Nigeria for, I think, probably 5 years or more before someone from our Vice Chancellor's office suggested, he said, oh, there are Commonwealth scholarship applications that we have now. Would you like to apply? So I said, no, I'm already getting ready to go and do my PhD in University of Jos. So no, I'm not. He said, try, why not? He said, just try it. Yeah, it's not going to cost you anything. So I applied for Commonwealth scholarship. There were 3 options. The first one was I could either apply to go to UK to do my PhD. So I did that. Many Commonwealth universities, but I chose to go to England. And then my second choice was Trinidad and Tobago. And then I put Memorial University of Newfoundland, Canada. I had no idea where Memorial University was, but I went to like Encyclopedia Britannica in our library and did some research to find out where there's a program for folklore or oral literature. And I discovered that Memorial University of Newfoundland and Labrador has a PhD in folklore. So I applied, and I forgot about it. Went to University of Jos, started my program there. But then a year after, a package came through my sister. By then I had already left Maiduguri. So the package was Commonwealth application, approval, like conditional approval of Commonwealth scholarship. And I looked at it when they sent it to University of Jos, where I was studying at the time. So I put it aside. And just to cut the long story short, one of my uncle who was also doing his graduate program saw the package, because I put the envelope next to me in the library. I was preparing for my dissertation, to write my proposal for my dissertation. So he saw it and he forced me. He said, you must respond. So I had to fly to Lagos, to the Canadian Embassy. My first time I think of going to Lagos then. So I went to Canadian Embassy and then I just fill out all the forms that I was required to do, went and did medical tests and forgot about it. But then in 1991, I got the approval to come here to study my PhD in folklore at Memorial University. I was scared because I said, I didn't ask for this. I was terrified, but again, as God will have it, I just say, maybe it's God's plan. So I left Unijos and flew to Newfoundland and Labrador in August of 90, because I had to wait for the medical results to come out. So August 92, I landed here to study folklore. It was new, strange, but interesting and exciting at the same time then.
Well, that was good. Okay, so you went through your PhD program and you completed in 1998. And so what happened then?
Well, I enrolled in the MON IT program after I submitted my dissertation. Before defending my dissertation, or before my oral defense, I enrolled in the MON IT program. So I was doing diploma in information technology and at the same time teaching, because when I came back from England, even before that, I started teaching in MON actually as a graduate student. So when I submitted my thesis in 98, before convocating, I enrolled in MON IT. So I was doing the IT and teaching at MON at the same time. And then I kept teaching at MON, but when I finished the IT, I didn't pass C++ and Oracle. I didn't know that until when I was about to leave to go to Ottawa to be a web designer for Ontario Nursing Association. That was supposed to be my work term for the IT program. But our administrator just told me, oh, you cannot go because you didn't pass C++. I was supposed to have minimum of 75%, but I got 70 in both Oracle and C++. So I was devastated because I thought I was leaving Newfoundland forever. But it didn't happen, and I was unhappy, but looking back, it was God's plan. So I stayed, I had to do 2 projects to make up so that I can get my grades upgraded to 75 minimum. So I did the project and I passed. So I kept teaching at MON, even though I had graduated. I graduated in October of 98, but I continued to teach there until 2005 as a sessional teacher. And as you know, I had to stay because when I was doing those 2 makeup projects, I met John, my husband, who is a Newfoundlander, which again is destiny, I guess. So we ended up getting married, and I couldn't leave. I stayed, and did something else.
Oh, that's a great story, because most times people wonder, why did you stay in Newfoundland? Because you were heading out to Ottawa. People come and they finish their program and they leave. So we now know that you stayed. And you're a successful entrepreneur as well. And I know the famous International Food and Craft Fair, and I will take my containers when I will make sure that it's on my calendar, take my food containers, so I'll have enough for the week. But how was that? And just tell us a little bit about that business.
The International Food and Craft Fair actually started when I was the event coordinator for the Multicultural Women's Organization. So then we were having International Food and Craft Fair at the Holiday Inn. I started working as their coordinator in 2006. So it grew very fast that we were having the International Food and Craft Fair, not only in St. John's at the Holiday Inn, but we also got funding from ECOWA, that's the federal government through ECOWA, and the provincial government. So we were having it at the Holiday Inn, we were having it in Ganda, we were having it in Quaicoe. We were actually planning to do it in Happy Valley Goose Bay, because I even went there to do like background research, survey, to find out if it would be feasible for us to have the International Food and Craft Fair in Happy Valley Goose Bay. But it was kind of far away. We didn't say no, but then because it was growing so fast, expanding, they decided to stop it. So as usual, I seem to be a grabber. I said, okay, instead of us abandoning this event that is so important, maybe I would take over and register it as a business, as an incorporated business. So that was how I took over the International Food and Craft Fair, registered it as International Food and Craft Expo. So instead of going back to Quaicoe, because we were in Quaicoe from 2009 to 2012, every year we'll go to Quaicoe and have the event. We'll go to Ganda, the same thing. So when I took over, I just limited it to having it at the Holiday Inn in St. John's, but I also introduced one in Paradise and in CBS in Kelligrews. So from 2012, we were having it in these 3 locations until last year, and now COVID-19.
But it seems like everything you put your hands to grows bigger and becomes successful.
The support of the community, because as we do with Tombolo, I also use the same approach. So whether in like now International Food and Craft Expo, whether in St. John's or Paradise or Kelligrews, that's covering CBS. We work with the town council. So that's how people tend to very supportive in a way.
Well, I always believe in collaboration to get what you want done. But now it takes my mind back to April 2014 when we heard that from the state, Borno State, where you were born, that almost 300 girls mainly were kidnapped from their school. What did you think, like those days following the news when you heard it?
I felt I had mixed emotions. I felt very sad and very guilty. Guilt in the sense that here I am here in Canada, I am safe. I don't have to be afraid of being kidnapped or being killed. So I felt very guilty. And prior to the kidnapping of the girls, because Boko Haram started in 2009. So 2014 was probably the last straw. They say that the thing that really made many people globally to say, okay, this has gone too far. So when I had it, prior to that, we were sending money quietly with my husband because my brother-in-law, he's a church minister. So they had, in their church environment alone, up to 300 refugees just sleeping outside. So we'll send money so they could buy food and cook for these refugees in their camp. But when we heard that 300 girls were kidnapped and a lot of towns and villages were taken over by the militants, I was really sad, and I felt, as I said, guilty. So I spoke with our church minister, because I was on the vestry, St. Augustine's Anglican Church. Our minister then was Reverend David Pille. So I told him, I said, I need more prayers, because we've been praying. I said, I need more prayers. He said, what happened? I said, about 300 girls were kidnapped in a high school in Chibok in Borno State, where I came from. And he knew already, because, we've been praying, but I told him about the kidnapping. So he said, okay, what can we do? I said, pray. He said, no, praying alone will not be enough. So he said, maybe we should do some fundraising. So I went home, thought about it, discussed with my husband. I said, maybe the best thing is to create like a non-profit organization, because we can't be grabbing money without accounting for it. So my husband said, yeah, I think it's better. So we registered it as We Care Foundation of Newfoundland and Labrador. with the federal government, and then also as non-profit, incorporated non-profit, not charity immediately, because you have to go through some process application. So it was non-profit. So with that, we were able to fundraise. So what we did, we will create multicultural concert and dinner. Okay. So we sell tickets, and the event will take place in the church basement, right. St. Augustus Anglican Church. Okay. And then the church members were amazing. Sometimes I'll cry. You see an elderly woman in her 70s will come and put $5 in my hand, and then I'll start crying. I say, these people, they care so much. But we wanted to do something so that people can eat or be entertained rather than giving donations like that, you know. Yeah. So we started this fundraising through concerts, or we created cafe, and I've delivered food in so many offices here and people's homes in the winter, and people were very sad, but I enjoyed it. So that's how we raised money. And we went. What we did here, we created the board members. We had a meeting, created like a scholarship application, send them to refugee camps, because I already had colleagues, you know, in the University of Maiduguri and other places. So what we did was we started identifying some girls in refugee camps. So we awarded the first one, 11 girls from 3 states, because it affected Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. So we got them, the parents agreed, so we put them in schools. So from there we started sending books, and now to date, we've sponsored over 200 girls and sent thousands of books and school supplies with the support of people here.
Right, yeah, so you're really making a difference in their lives.
Well, the people here.
Yes. Well, thank you. Yeah, well, thank you so much. I mean, it's such a heartwarming story to know that children were looked after, and thank you so much for coming and being a part of us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks to Dr. Zainab Jerrett and to you for joining us today. Join us again next time for more remarkable stories about individuals from around the world who've come to call this place home.
If you want convenience, Marie's Money Mart is here for you. A one-stop shop for a variety of products, home style